plus get free shipping. Visit plexidermtrial.com or call the number on your screen.
Thanks for watching News 12 on your side. Does not makes you feel fine. I feel like crap.
From the station that's on your side, this is News 12 First at 5.
Well, more cracks found on Carowinds' largest roller coaster. Just ahead, where they were found and how Carowinds is responding.
But first, more housing, more growth, and more places for you to shop. That's the plan for downtown Augusta, and tonight, there's some progress to tell you about.
It's not only bringing new businesses downtown, but it's also attracting more young people. A handful of new housing units are in the works, welcoming this younger demographic that we're seeing. And some of the recent and current projects in the downtown area include the 155-unit Millhouse Station, the 136-unit apartment called the Augustin, the 86-unit Atticus, and the Lamar Building, which has 76 units, and the 56-unit Marion Building right next door. Now, all of these projects are expected to bring more foot traffic and business to the downtown area. Also, with the cyber industry growing and AU right down the road, it's becoming a more attractive place for young people to live. And that's music to the ears of some of our local businesses.
I think it's very important. Mixed-use development is very important to the vitality of a downtown community. So the more mixed use we have, it brings a lot of people walking on the streets, where a lot of people shopping and eating and going to events downtown. So it's just, you need housing as one of the components of a healthy downtown.
And Margaret Woodard with the Augusta Downtown Development Authority says that we're hovering at about a 96% occupancy rate, so the demand is certainly there for downtown Augusta. All new tonight on News 12 at 6 o'clock. We'll have more on this downtown growth.
96% occupancy, that's pretty good. Riley?
And luckily, our temperatures are nowhere near 96 this afternoon. We're looking at a little bit cooler afternoon thanks to all this cloud cover across the region. This is all thanks to an area of low pressure that formed just a little bit north of Jacksonville earlier this morning. So this has just been bringing us tropical-like rain bands. And it was actually a pretty decent look at it on satellite imagery earlier today, where you can actually see that center of circulation between St. Mary's and Brunswick. So it looks tropical in nature, and definitely when you look at the rain bands on radar, it definitely looks tropical in nature. But luckily, not a named storm, not expecting huge impacts outside of just these nuisance showers. Here's a wide look at what's happening. Most of this rain still south of the interstate, but we are looking at one little downpour just north of Augusta. But for the next several hours, rain chances do look highest between Gibson to Barnwell and south. So mainly the southern and central CS area will have those highest rain chances. But we are looking at this one storm that's been popping up just off exit 5 of I-20 there in Aiken County, also southern Edgefield County. This is about to cross over the river. Looks like it's going to get close to, say, Savannah Rapids Pavilion there in Columbia County and get a little bit closer to Martinez and Evans. We'll have much more of these rain chances into the weekend forecast in just a bit. Let's get a quick update on your First Alert traffic.
And now, First Alert traffic.
Well, that downpour we were actually just looking at near the Savannah River, you can see that rain shaft from our studio camera looking towards I-20. So this is looking into Carolina. You got the bridge right here over the Savannah River. Traffic doesn't look to be impacted too much. It was moving a little bit slower just about 10 minutes ago, but looks like traffic has picked back up again. Going to exit 190, gateway to Grovetown. Doesn't look like the line's too long there off the exit in Lewiston Road. Appears to be moving okay as well. Much more on the radar in that weekend forecast in just about 10 minutes.
All right, thanks for that, Riley. Carly Russell, the woman who has admitted to faking her own kidnapping, turned herself into jail.
Just hours ago, we learned she is now facing charges. Police in Hoover, Alabama announced that Russell is facing charges of falsely reporting to law enforcement officers and falsely reporting an incident. These are both misdemeanors. Now, officials say that Russell turned herself into jail this morning and has since bonded out. Russell's story captured the nation's attention and anger as well after she admitted that she never saw a toddler on the side of the road and was never kidnapped. Hoover's police chief says that he understands the frustration that Russell is only facing 2 misdemeanors.
Judging from the amount of phone calls and emails that we've received from people all over the country, I know many are shocked and appalled that Miss Russell is only being charged with 2 misdemeanors, despite all the panic and disruption her actions caused. Let me assure you I too share the same frustration, but existing laws only allow the charges that were filed to be filed.
And again, Russell has bonded out of jail. No word yet on when her first day in court will be.
2 years after a woman was stabbed and killed in Atlanta, police say they still do not have a suspect. In a news conference today, Atlanta police say they still have no leads in the death of Katie Janis. 2 years ago today, she was stabbed more than 50 times and mutilated inside a Piedmont park. Her dog was also killed. With no answers, many say they are wary to be in the park after sunset.
I don't feel comfortable walking around the park by myself at night, and even if my husband's with me, still we don't do that very often. We try to go around it or avoid it.
There's a bench in the park dedicated to Janis and her dog Bowie, so her memory does live on. Police today clarifying that Janis's death is not considered a cold case. They say they are diligently searching for her killer every day.
Well, more cracks on the Fury 325 roller coaster at Carowinds as the testing phase continues following the crack discovered earlier this month by a park guest. The North Carolina Department of Labor saying that they were alerted to what is called welding indications. Engineers say that these can be stress fractures in the track after repeated cycles from the train. It can lead to cracks or breaks that can develop into a more serious problem if not addressed. That being said, experts also say it's a testament to how well the roller coaster was built that nothing more serious happened.
That entire structure was still holding together despite being completely broken, with the cars going over it. I mean, and that's such a testament to the engineering of the rest of the entire structure.
And no word yet on whether this will extend the time Carowinds Fury roller coaster is closed. The park reiterating that these fractures in the welding are not uncommon, and they are dedicated to roughly testing the ride testing it fully before it reopens there to the public.
This school year, thousands of South Carolina teachers will have something that they've never had before, a guaranteed half-hour break or planning period every day.
Now, this new school year is the first in which the state's new unencumbered time law is fully effective. Our State House reporter Mary Green has the details.
The governor actually signed this unencumbered time law in 2022. But in that legislation, the General Assembly gave school districts a year to figure out how they'll implement this change, which will be in effect when teachers return to the classroom soon.
This is part and parcel of improving working conditions, which is key to being able to better retain our teaching talent in South Carolina.
The new law guarantees all elementary school and special education teachers in South Carolina get 30 minutes every day when they're not responsible for directly supervising students. It's up to districts to determine what that'll look like, whether it's a lunch break, a planning period, or even dividing the required 30 minutes into multiple smaller breaks, which likely wouldn't be popular with teachers. Valente Gibson, a third-grade teacher in Richland County, says his school is letting them know its plan when teachers return next week. But he says this is a huge win for those who teach the state's youngest students.
In elementary, from the time we step foot from morning duty into after school duty, we're usually supervising or instructing students. And so it's so good for us because this is an opportunity for elementary teachers to have this moment for us to have a break.
This new law does not include middle and high school teachers. The Palmetto State Teachers Association says they were far more likely to have already had planning periods incorporated into their day, so they weren't nearly as much a concern as elementary school and special education teachers have been. Reporting from the State House, I'm Mary Green.
Patrick Kelly says an expansion of this new law that they would like to see is dedicated planning time for teachers at all levels to collaborate with each other. He says this would allow them to work together to design lessons and assessments and evaluate student progress as well.
Out on the tarmac all day, airport workers are doing their best at beating this summer heat. Coming up, we'll take a look at how. Riley, it's hot out there.
It is hot out there, and we're seeing a little relief from the summer heat this afternoon with a good bit of clouds, but storm chances going up for this evening into tomorrow. We'll have that full forecast next.
A new program aims to keep kids out of courtrooms and educate them into the fine arts. Coming up all new on News 12 at 6 o'clock, we'll learn more about this program and be at their graduation.
Time and Temp. Time and Temp. Brought to you by Jamie Casino Injury Lawyers. I'm attorney Jamie. If you're in a wreck, call me right now.
Make this the summer event.
New Jeep Compass, $399 a month lease in Waynesboro.
Shop more Jeeps in minutes than anywhere else.
It's a short drive on Highway 25.
Shop GoodToGoWaynesboro.com to save time and money. Have you?
Pick a deal. No hungry? Better be hungry. Make this the summer event in Waynesboro.
Payments to fit your budget.
Up to $9,500 off new Gladiator Rubicons.
Big city selection with hometown prices.
Good to go. Waynesboro.com.
Live at 5, you are taking a live look now at Hartsfield-Jackson International Airport in Atlanta. Even with some clouds in the sky, boy, it is a hot one out there. And especially so for those who work at airports like this one. I mean, they're outside a good portion of the day.
Heavy gear, too.
Yeah, and hundreds of them, they're not letting that heat slow them down.
Brittany Ford gets up close and personal with some of those airport workers and tells us how they're faring in this heat.
Loading up bags, fueling up planes,
Right now.
keeping operations going at the world's busiest airport.
And it's hot. Too hot.
In the dead of summer means battling blistering heat, something Malaysia Richards knows all about.
I work on a ramp. I'm an ALA, so push aircrafts, bring them in, load them up, outside all day.
Richards, who works at JFK Airport, flew into Atlanta for vacation.
You're packing in 200 and something bags within 40 minutes. That's the time that we have to package.
And working in an environment where the sun meets the concrete, we're talking extreme temperatures. Right now, outside, it's 92 degrees, but the concrete temperature in the hundreds. Baggage handlers, catering employees, and those guiding planes in and out of the gates are all in the elements. Herschel Granget, spokesperson for Hartsfield-Jackson, says during soaring temperatures, they work with airlines to ensure employees are safe.
All of our business partners and make sure that they all know, look, it's going to be hot on this particular day. Make sure your employees know, stay hydrated. Make sure they're wearing proper clothing. Make sure that they are taking frequent breaks. Make sure they're looking after each other.
With an appreciation from the other side.
It is very hard. They think, oh, they're not doing it. They're just outside. They're just packing them bags.
Richard says it's a sweaty labor of love.
It's like we do it for the customers because we know how it is to travel.
And there's certainly a benefit to working in an air-conditioned building all day instead of being out on the tarmac there. But we'll send things over to First Alert Chief Meteorologist Riley Hill. And Riley, this is a perfect example of how pavement can make these summer temps feel even hotter if you're outside.
Absolutely. As she said, the temperature was only 92 when she was taking that temperature in her story there. If our temperature is feeling like 92, that is a relief from our summer heat usually. So we are going to see a little bit of a cool down next week with highs near 92. But remember, even though it is a little bit below average, dangerous heat nonetheless, especially when you mix in some asphalt and concrete. Pretty cool view outside of our southbound smokehouse camera over SRP Park. You can see some dark skies around North Augusta. It's looking like it's going to rain, and there is some rain close by, folks, if you are in North Augusta or downtown Augusta. 86 degrees, so our temperatures have been below average today. This is just thanks to all that cloud cover overhead preventing us from heating up too much. Let's take a closer look at town. So here's a little downpour that extends into central and southern Edgefield County. This is kind of riding along I-20 there, mainly impacting the Aiken side of the river, but some of this is now making its way up to the Georgia side. So the Welcome Center, we're starting to see a few raindrops there and just outside of our building near the state line. Most of the rain so far today has really stayed in the southern CS area. They've had on and off showers starting early this morning, and then when they try to make their way towards us in I-20, they just don't really hold together all too well. But we'll continue the opportunity for this type of coverage of rainfall across the region until around 9-10 o'clock later tonight. Now, once we get past sunset, we do see a little bit of a drop in our rain coverage, and it will stay relatively low most of the night. But then as soon as we get into our Saturday, starting early in the morning, we're expecting scattered coverage of showers that will continue into our Saturday afternoon. And then to end off the weekend, we will notice our rain chances do drop off a good bit. So looking at our storm chances on Sunday to most likely be 20% or less. So technically not zero, but lower than what we're expecting for the rest of today and tomorrow. Here's our setup. So this area of low pressure near the coast, that's just going to slowly move up the Georgia coastline over the next 24 hours. So as long as that's close by, that's going to keep our rain chances in place. And as far as temperatures go tomorrow, it does look like they stay below average, most likely into the upper 80s to low 90s for most spots. So just a heads up, staying a little bit on the cooler side for our Saturday. Now on Sunday, we start to bring in our next front. We're going to stay ahead of that. We're going to be pretty hot, high temperatures mid to upper 90s, and the storm chances could fire up along that cold front as it does get closer towards us, but that would mainly be confined to the afternoon and looks to be isolated to widely scattered. But any storm that does pop Sunday could briefly produce some strong wind gusts. Here's our high temperature Saturday. So most of the central and eastern CS already stays in the upper 80s, but the further west you go, you'll be able to get away from that cloud cover and most likely hit the low 90s tomorrow afternoon. For us here in Augusta, remember Sunday is going to be our hot day, high of temp of 97 degrees, and chance for storms both days, but definitely looks more likely that you would see rainfall Saturday relative to Sunday. Now the heat index, that's going to be a big part of the weather story Sunday, along with those highs in the upper 90s. Both our models here looking at feel like temperatures between 100 to possibly even as high as 105, 106. So dangerous heat. We were just talking about that for the airport workers. Make sure you are staying safe and hydrated for any outdoor plans. Next week, we do start to see a little bit less humidity, and that will allow our morning temps to get back down to the 60s by early next Wednesday.
All right, thanks, Riley. Forever Chemicals. Even if you're careful about the water that you drink, it could still be in your food. Well, coming up, how PFAS is affecting waterways in Georgia and the fish that live in them.
First Alert Radar.
Prices, visit Davis Appliance and Furniture.
A cancer-causing toxin discovered in Georgia rivers. It has the potential to hurt wildlife and humans. Now, Georgia University is taking a major step to help measure the impact.
As Andy Parati explains, the Chattahoochee is one of 10 Georgia rivers containing PFAS, also called the forever chemical.
Damon Mullis cruises on a South Georgia river in search of fish deep below.
Right, 20, 25 foot.
About 25 miles from the coast on the Ogeechee River in Savannah, passing sunbathing reptiles, waterfowl, and swamplands along the way.
What kind of fish are we looking for?
Red breast sunfish is what we're targeting.
The plan isn't to eat the fish, but to test them for a cancer-causing toxin called perfluoroalkyl, or PFAS for short, used by manufacturers for decades to make products water and oil resistant, like nonstick cookware, carpet, and food packaging. Scientists call it the forever chemical because it does not break down naturally. Last year, a study by the Waterkeeper Alliance discovered the chemical in the Ogeechee River and other rivers in Georgia, including the Chattahoochee. The Ogeechee is the site of the largest fish kill in the state's history, caused by water discharges from a now closed textile plant upstream.
So, yeah, we put these chemicals out in the environment, not really understanding their impacts on the ecology of our systems, but also their impact on human health. And then once they're out there, they make their ways into our body, whether we eat fish or not. There we go.
To measure the impact, the executive director of the Ogeechee Riverkeepers partnered with Georgia Southern University to test the fish for PFAS here at its lab. The bigger the fish, the better for testing.
The higher up on the food chain, generally, the more contaminated they're going to be with PFAS.
It's not just the Ogeechee River potentially contaminated. A study released by the Environmental Working Group earlier this year discovered elevated levels of the chemical in fish from coast to coast. The samples collected by the Environmental Protection Agency discovered PFAS in freshwater fish 280 times higher than commercially raised fish.
To put in perspective, the Environmental Working Group estimates eating just one freshwater fish a year could be equal to drinking a month's worth of water laced with the forever chemical.
David Andrews is one of the researchers who led this study.
This is a significant problem, and this is one that we think should be addressed at both the local and federal level.
Love to see a little more urgency from the federal government and the state government. Not doing anything ignoring it is not going to help.
And it's important to note that cooking does not remove PFAS. Researchers recommend getting tested for it if you've been eating freshwater fish for years. Some states have set PFAS limits related to fish consumption, but Georgia is not one of them. Georgia lawmakers say that they are waiting for the EPA to release its PFAS restrictions and guidelines, and there is no deadline set for that. Riley?
Well, if you have plans, maybe go to the lake, do some fishing this weekend. Should honestly be pretty good fishing weather tomorrow with a lot of cloud cover, dropping barometric pressure. The heat's going to be on those Sunday. We're looking at highs back into the mid-90s and potentially a little bit breezier to end off the weekend. Now look at that full forecast just after the break.
7.5% APR for 48 months on a new 2023 Toyota Camry. Toyota, let's go places.
Well, want to go back to our North Augusta cam, you can see some darker skies in that rain shaft just behind the tree line there. So some heavy rain getting close to Belvedere, North Augusta, and even us here across the river in downtown Augusta. 86 degrees, temperatures have stayed cooler than average. That is the benefit of all the cloud cover we've seen today. And I would imagine most spots should see at least a quick shower over the next several hours. We're looking at this one getting close to North Augusta, Belvedere, all the way up to around exit 5 there in Aiken County, and that pushes into Edgefield County too. And that is going towards the Savannah River. Here's a look further south. You can see a lot better coverage of rainfall across most of our southern and eastern counties. Nothing that's overly heavy, just kind of light to moderate rainfall for the most part. And we are going to keep these type rain chances in play again for your Saturday. And then we're cranking up the heat to end off the weekend. High of 97 on Sunday.
All right, thanks, Riley. Stick with us. We have much more news and weather coming up after a short break as News 12 Live at 5 continues.